Shalom Haïti, Shalom Israël. Monsieur officier Yatazan dans ASUPK, l'école israélite connaissance universelle verticale, en bas l'autre commandant général Yahan. Et je dis là, nous allons parler bien rapide de révolution haïtienne. Ça l'a fait en anglais. Avec en prochaine fois m'a fait classe en créole, mais on va parler là avec officer que ça peut cadre qui est californien. On va regarder là tout à l'heure parce que fait une conférence call côté on va parler de révolution haïtienne parce qu'en pile monde nous pensons que révolution haïtienne c'est à cause de vaudou que nous venons gagner révolution, nous venons gagner un combat contre les Français avec l'Angleterre, avec l'Espagne, mais pourtant, vaudou pas de rien pour ensemble avec ça. Nous faisons une vidéo sur ça déjà, mais je dis, nous allons toucher sur ça encore. Nous allons parler de révolution haïtienne. Là, en anglais, quand vous me dites nous, mais m'a fait vidéo ça encore en créole, ok? Nous c'est l'école Israël connaissance universelle pratique en bas l'autre commandant général Yohana. Si vous nouveau sur channel là, ça nous fait là dans l'école Israël connaissance universelle pratique, c'est que nous enseignons peuple noir, peuple pagnol avec peuple indien natif natal en vérité sur la Bible. Ok? Nous pas pasteur qui bail mon menti, nous parler de la Bible, nous c'est officiel avec prêtre dans l'école Israël connaissance universelle pratique. Et en pile dans nous pas connaît origine, nous pas connaît qui ça côté nous pas connaît qui langue nous parlé avant l'esclavage. Mais nous même là dans l'école Israël connaissance universelle pratique, nous connaissons vérité et nous là pour nous enseigner aux vérités. OK, on va aller là, on va aller les officiers et puis nous allons commencer classe là. OK? Malgré les officiers, pour nous commencer classe, au moins seconde. Partagez vidéo ça. Si vous regardez vidéo ça là, vous partagez la famille. So like you. 200. I said. Shalom, Yabashim Yashabarakutam. How you doing, up? Most in Christ. Damn right. Say that one more time. All right. That's the I'll put you on mute. You can let me know because I'm live also on ISUPK Haiti. So you can let me know when to go ahead. All right. OK, alors on va lire un bagay pour nous là. En pile dans nous on va lire un bagay pour nous là parce qu'en pile dans nous pas jamais lire déclaration indépendance pays d'Haïti. En pile dans nous pas connaît qui mentalité ancêtre nous yote gagné les yote combattre contre esclavage. Nous pensons que yo été accepté français, mais regardez dans déclaration indépendance là, on voit côté Dessalines te voulait séparer totalement ensemble avec français. li pas voulait même respirer même l'air ensemble avec eux. Et ça dans déclaration indépendance, mais il pas montré nos bagages ça à l'école, il pas montré nos bagages ça les yo fait vidéo sous indépendance Haïti. Ça y a toujours poussé, c'est que c'est vaudou qui fait nous joindre indépendance. C'est à cause de 14 août 1791, cérémonie bois caïman, c'est à cause de ça que nous joignons indépendance. Tandis que bagay ça sont menti que Moun qui était premier écrit bagay ça, monsieur Antoine Dalma, même livre là. Même livre côté Blanc dans ça a dit que c'est vaudou qui t'a fait que nous joignons indépendance. Mais il va même dit c'est que vaudou c'est ça qui fait nous joindre indépendance. Monsieur il va dit ça dans le livre là, mais c'est lui-même qui était premier parler de voodoo cérémonie ça, soi-disant voodoo cérémonie ça. Mais l'on regarde dans l'archive yo, ou pas qu'à joindre bagay comme ça, ou pas qu'à joindre rien qui dit que nous te gagné un voodoo cérémonie. OK? M'bral li indépendance, déclaration indépendance haïtien. M'pa li tout parce que li long, mais m'a li deux séries de parties là-dedans pour nous kawè mentalité que les ancêtres nous te dans qui mentalité les ancêtres nous te les yo t'a combattre contre colon blanc yo. Les yo t'a même écrit déclaration indépendance ça m'a li OK et ça c'est un document que nous tous là nous même cap boire sous jour aujourd'hui nous tous nous t'a supposé lire document ça. OK faire comme devoir pour lire document ça. OK fait au Gonaïve ce 1er janvier 1804 et le premier jour de l'indépendance d'Haïti. Signé, nous allons regarder qui est-ce qui était signé document ça. Nous avons Dessalines, OK, général en chef. Nous avons Christophe Pétion, nous avons Clairvaux, nous avons Geffort, nous avons Vernet, nous avons Gabor, OK. Nous avons généraux de division, Pierre Romain, peut-être Pierre Romain, E. Gérin, F. Capois, OK. Alors, il faut nous comprendre que selon il y a officier Ayaban, faut nous voir que Haïtiens à l'époque, nous avons un gouvernement, tout ça c'est général vous comprenez? Vous voulez faire comprendre que c'est une bonne esclavité et puis c'est peut-être qui est Dessalines avec Pétion avec Capois la mort, mais nous avons l'armée. Nous avons un pile général et nous avons un pile soldat. Pour qui ça? Parce que les Français ont utilisé des Noirs pour nous renforcer l'armée. L'autre des gens a dit que l'armée Napoléon, c'était plus gros armée à l'époque. La raison qui fait ça, c'est parce que c'est pas parce que Blanc était tellement bien force, Blanc était tellement fort, il était tellement intelligent. La raison, c'est parce que tu es un pile noir dans l'armée française. Dessalines, c'était une chef dans l'armée française. Toussaint Louverture, c'est lui-même qui était un plus gros grade à l'époque dans l'armée française en Haïti. C'est peut-être ça, il n'a pas voulu Santonax venir, il n'a pas voulu envoyer monde pour qui supérieur sous lui, parce qu'il était tellement fait un pile travail pour français. OK? Ça, même juste lire non ça, Magloire Amboise, Toussaint Brave, Yayou, généraux de brigade, OK, Bonnet F, Papalier, Morelli Chevalier, Marion, tout ça c'est non-chef, OK. Mabjambé, parce que y a tellement de Macajou, Dupi, Corbonne, Diakwa Aîné, Raphaël, Malais, Dorenoncourt, officier de l'armée de Bois-Antonnerre, secrétaire. Bois-Antonnerre, c'était secrétaire des Salines. Où est-ce que ça, OK, so, kounya la, moi lit, déclaration d'indépendance. Le général en chef au peuple d'Haïti, citoyen, ce n'est pas assez d'avoir expulsé de votre pays les barbares qui l'ont ensanglanté depuis 2 siècles. Vous comprenez? Il n'est pas assez pour juste rejeter mon barbare qui t'a trianglé le pays. Vous comprenez? Pendant 200 ans. Ce n'est pas assez d'avoir mis un aide tout cela Ce n'est pas assez d'avoir mis un frein aux fractions toujours renaissantes qui se jouaient tour à tour du fantôme de liberté que la France exposait à vos yeux. Il faut par un dernier acte d'autorité nationale assurer à jamais, attendez ça Dessalines dit, ok? Il faut par un dernier acte d'autorité nationale assurer à jamais l'empire de la liberté dans le pays qui nous a vu naître. Il faut ravir au gouvernement inhumain qui tient depuis longtemps nos esprits dans la torpeur la plus humiliante. Okay? Tout espoir de nous réavertir, il faut enfin vivre indépendant ou mourir. Okay? L'on regarde des devises qui dans le drapeau, on dit liberté, égalité, fraternité. Mais dans l'époque, ça devait changer. Dans l'époque, ça, c'était liberté ou la mort. C'est ça de faire des salines là, l'abdo, c'est il faut enfin vivre indépendant ou mourir. Parce que ça, c'était mentalité. C'est ou soit indépendant ou soit nous mourir. Parce que nous ne pouvons pas vivre en bas blanc dans ça. Nous ne pouvons pas pratiquer coutume. Nous ne pouvons pas quitter nous maintenant. Et je dis là, les n'a dit que quand I'm going to finish this last point, I'm going to speak a little Creole. All right, bear with me. Ok, kounya là, les n'a dit que nous célébrer fête indépendance Haïti. Il faut nous réaliser que nous avons fait un pile bagage qui n'a pas fait sens. Parce que si nous célébré fête blanc maintenant, et puis tandis que les 1er janvier arrivé, nous avons dit, ah oui, nous fiers de l'indépendance Haïti, ça n'a pas fait sens. Il n'a pas fait sens du tout. Parce qu'on va fêter fête Noël, on va fêter fête Saint-Valentin, on va fêter toute vieille fête, pas rien que blanc maintenant était venu, parce que pas seulement venu avec chaîne, il était venu avec coutume et tout. Vous comprenez? Il était venu avec un pile coutume. Tellement ça, moi montre qui ça dit puis bah qui ça dit tout y retrace le souvenir des cruautés de ce peuple barbare, nos lois, nos mœurs, nos villes, tout encore porte l'empreinte française et jusqu'à présent en 2020 tout ça n'a fait porter empreinte française ou bien empreinte anglaise. Nous pas rien que n'a fait qui vraiment coutume que les ancêtres nous gagné avant l'esclavage. Après ça m'a fini là qu'on y a là on va commencer faire conférence scolaire avec officier pour cadre qui est California. Après ça, comme moi dit non, m'a fait classe ça encore en créole, mais qu'on y a là on parler anglais et ou qu'à partager cette vidéo ça et puis m'a commencé là Slack again à Shalom aussi All right. First of all, I would like to say a big thank you, man, to Commanding General Yohana and all the Adawanyam who raised me up because when we talk about the Haitian Revolution, most Haitians that you know of, they will be proud to tell you about the voodoo ceremony because myself, for years, I believed in it. For years, I believed that it was, this voodoo ceremony that had something to do with the Haitian Revolution. It wasn't until I began listening to the ISUPK that I started questioning that. And they were not even talking about it, but just learning the wisdom that I was getting I started questioning the voodoo ceremony. And as I dig into it, I realized that it was all a lie. It had nothing to do with the actual revolution. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna run through some history going back to the devil called Christopher Columbus. So most of our people, they pretty much familiar with Christopher Columbus coming over here to the Americas in 1492 and taking the native captives, right, and slaughtering a large amount of them, and then they started taking our people who were living in Africa who are not Africans. So when we go back to that history back in the early 1500, what is important to understand is that Spain at the time and France and Britain, they were not in harmony. A lot of people think that the devils, they always in harmony, and then they just decided, you know what, we're gonna share this island, and we're gonna, we're gonna have, I'm gonna have this side, and you're gonna have this side. This is not what was going on. I'm gonna read real quick from this book, A Brief History of the Caribbean, from the Arawak and the Carib to the present, right? So we're gonna go back all the way back to 14 to the early 1500, so we could see, so we could have this whole revolution in context. All right, so I'm in page 34 in that book. Page 34 in that book, the second chapter. I'm gonna read. The rulers of other European states envied the wealth of Spain's king and allowed their subjects to plunder it. Piracy became an accepted business in many French and British ports, with the Dutch joining in after 1599. Thousands of pirate ships attacked Spanish shipping and ports in the Caribbean and along the coast of Central America. The greatest bounty was taken by Sir Francis Drake. They give us the year 1540, 1596, who captured an entire year's yield of Peruvian silver in 1573. So now what we are seeing is that them devils fighting amongst each other. They were fighting because they envied each other, and because Spain was the first one to come over here to conquer, then the French also came, and Britain came. So they were not in harmony. It wasn't something that they agreed, but they were fighting over the slaves, and they were fighting over the wealth that they discovered over here in the Americas. Okay, now I'm gonna go to page 36, right, in that same book. Almost from the beginning, at the bottom, page 36, from A Brief History of the Caribbean. Almost from the beginning, the sailors of other nations began to attack Spain, treasure fleets, and American colonies. Operating out of a series of different bases, pirates remained a threat for many generations. At first, they sailed from Europe itself, easily following the trade winds to and from the Caribbean for more than 150 years, until the final collapse of the Spanish power in the 1670s and 1680s. This is very crucial to understand, because French became the authority, so to speak, on the island. But we got to figure out how did that happen, because Spain was the first authority there. Spain was the first. It was the first. Those were the first devils that went to the island. But so how come the French became the authority? Is because this is the war that was going on between the French, England, and Spain at the time. They were all fighting. It wasn't all peachy and rosy, and we're just gonna enslave these Negroes. They were all fighting. And what's crucial to understand is that Spain had slaves in their militaries, the same way that England had slave in their they had so like not slave, I meant to say they had Negroes in their militaries. England had Negroes in their militaries, and French had Negroes in the militaries as well. I'm gonna keep on reading. The Spanish, with the only settlements of the region, remained the traditional victims, although by 1600 their towns had been raided so often. Later, pirates sometimes found slim pickings. So what happened is that the Spaniard became weak throughout all these attacks from Britain and French. They became weak. So now in 1640, right? I'm gonna fast forward. I'm gonna run through this history because it's a lot to cover. But I'm gonna run through some key points so we could get some really good context before we get to 1791. So in 1640, something crucial happened in 1640. Because prior to that, Spain was the authority on the island. So this is what happened in 1640. France sends Governor Levasseur. All right, that was a French governor. What did they send him there for? They sent him to Hispaniola, which was what the Spanish called Haiti at the time, to establish a claim on the island. So that happened in 1640. So now we could see that Spain. So like you were saying something like, okay. All right. So now we can see that Spain is losing the authority that it had over the entire island. So now French is coming in and claiming the island, right? So now in 1685, what happened in 1685? This is a document that all our people need to get in their hand, which is the Black Code. The Black Code of 1685. So lock it, which I have right here. Grab that. All right, the Black Code of 1685. So this is when that year is crucial because that year is when they begin to be very strategic as far as placing mulattoes and free blacks at like creating basically a caste system to kind of divide us. That happened in 1685. Now, not only was it hard on the slaves, but it was also hard on the oppressors because the whole slave market was a business. It was legal. It was a legal business. So you're looking at the kings who have this business going on, and he want his managers to run it a certain way. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm gonna read a few articles from that document, Black Code of 1685. All right. Article 1. I'm gonna read Article 1. I'm gonna just read a few articles. We wish, this is the first article. We wish and intend that the edict by the late king of glorious memory, this is King Henry the 14th, by the way. Very honored Lord and Father of 23rd April 1615 be enforced in our island. By this we charge all our officers to evict from our island all the Jews who have established their residence there, to warn as to the declared enemies of the Christian name. We order to have left within 3 months from the day of the publication of this present our face confiscation of body and property. This part right here, right, when he talks about all our officers to evict from our island all the Jews, I'm not gonna touch on this because it's a lot that I could go into as far as that, but I'm not gonna touch on it yet because in the ISUPK, if we're 90% sure about something, we're not gonna teach it until we're 100% sure. I'm gonna jump to Article 2. All the slaves who will be in our islands will be baptized and instructed in the Catholic, Apostolic, and Roman religion. So this is why we became Christians. This was in the article in 1685. We charge the planters who will buy newly arrived Negroes, and something that I must highlight is that in these documents you don't see nowhere where they call us Africans. What they called us, what they referred to us was Negre, which is spelled Negres, which is basically Negroes. You know, just wanted to point that out. We charge the planters who will buy newly arrived Negroes to inform the governor and intendant of the said island within a week at the latest, or face a discretionary fine. These officials will give the necessary orders to have them instructed and baptized within an appropriate time. So this is a whole business going on. It's like you go to General Motors and then you telling your workers, like, you know, this is how y'all gotta treat these cars. If you don't treat these cars, if you don't take care of these cars, like, you're gonna get fined. Something is gonna happen, or you could lose your job. This is how they treating us. You know, let me keep on going. This is Article 3. We forbid any public exercise of any religion other than the Catholic, Apostolic, and Roman. We wish that the offenders be punished as rebels and disobedient to our orders. We prohibit all congregation for this end. Okay, so we could not even congregate. So when they talk about the voodoo ceremony of so-called August 14, 1791, to tell you that it was the slave that did it, it don't even make sense because the slaves did not have the freedom to congregate in such a large amount, such a large number, right? Let me see. All right, let me read Article 5. No overseers will be given charge of which is Negroes, who do not profess the Catholic, Apostolic, and Roman religion. That means the overseers themselves, they couldn't have slaves if they were not Catholic, if they were not Apostolic or Roman or practice the Roman religion. So now that's the slave masters, the overseers. They had to be Catholic. So it wasn't just this document was not just for the slave. It was also for the overseers, for the slave masters. Let me see. We charge. I'm gonna read this last one, Article 6. We charge all our subjects, whatever their status and condition, to observe Sundays, right? To observe Sundays and holidays that are kept by our subjects of the Catholic, Apostolic, and Roman religion. So this is where we get this Sunday worship. This is where we get the celebrating these holidays. We get that from our oppressors. That's something that is very crucial for our people to understand today. They need to go and read this document, which is the Black Code of 1685. So now, I'm gonna jump in, right? We're gonna leave the year 1685. The reason I bring this out is to show you the power that that France had on the islands, because Spain was the one that was really the authority until France began to grow in power as the Spaniard weakened. So now in 1697, all throughout these years they were fighting, right? So now in 1697. The treaty, this is a treaty that we need to be aware of, the Treaty of Ryswick, which occurred in 1697. I'm gonna read about it real quick. In 1697, Salaka, the Treaty of Ryswick was the scene of the negotiation which led the so-called peace. These negotiations sought out to end the 9-year war between France on one side and the Great Alliance of Spain, England, and the Dutch Republic and the Holy Roman Empire. So why they had to have a treaty in the first place is because there was constant wars among these colonial powers. There was constant wars among them. They were not in one agreement to just share the island. They had to fight, and then when it went too far and they lost so many soldiers, then they had to come and have a treaty. Right, so now, Salakia. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and read. I'm gonna go ahead and read from this book right here. So now we're getting some context as far as the colonial powers that were in Haiti and why Haiti became divided by Spain and France. Matter of fact, let me go to this treaty before I do that. There's another treaty that happened in 1777, all right, which is called the Treaty of Arundel. Salakia, let me grab this real quick. The Treaty of Arundel was signed on June 3rd, 1777. Between France and Spain. Based on the terms of the treaty, the two countries agreed to define the border of their respective colonies on the island of Santo Domingo in the Caribbean Sea, which they shared ownership. So in 1777, this is when Spain and France finally agreed that, you know what, you're gonna have this side of the island and we're gonna have that side of the island. This is when that happened in 1777. Prior to that, it was constant wars between them, between Spain, France, and England. And even after that treaty, being, the devil being the devil that he is, even after signing the treaty, there were still wars between them, and we're gonna get into that. So now let me go, Salakia. Okay, right here. So now we're gonna talk about this We're gonna talk about this Haitian Revolution now. So I'm gonna go in page 50 in this book called The Making of Haiti, the Saint-Domingue Revolution, right? Page 50, bear with me. Yeah, go ahead. No, the Salakia. The French was Saint-Domingue and the Spanish side was Hispaniola. Salakia. Hispaniola, which means Little Spain. But what they did, they named the capital, which they call the capital Santo Domingo. You got me? Yeah, they called the capital Santo Domingo, but the whole island was called Hispaniola. Yeah, Salakia. All right. So now, when we deal with the Haitian Revolution, if you ever watch these documentaries, right? What they will show you is that you know the slave was fighting, with machetes and rocks and things like that. But when you understand this history, when you understand how Spain, France, and England, how they were fighting, and then they had soldiers in their armies. It wasn't just or rosy and peachy among them. They had to use black slaves. They had to use black slaves, which they give a certain position. Not only black, also mulattoes. They had to give them a certain position of power in order to control the population. Matter of fact, I'm gonna read this real quick. Um, this is in the a little after the mid 1760s, in 1763 1768. I'm gonna read this real quick. Um, White seeks to control the affranchi. When you read about the affranchi were the free Negroes and the free mulattoes, because everybody was not slave on that island. We had people just like today. Not everybody is incarcerated. You have some black people who are rich. You have some black people who have money, and they seem to be living well off comparing to the mass of the population. Well, back then it was no different. Not every single black person was a slave. There were free black men, and there were the mulattoes, which were they put them at a certain level in society. However, they were still not considered white. They were still considered a second class citizen. The mulattoes were still considered second class citizens. So now the Negroes were just at the bottom. But we had free blacks and free mulattoes, which were called affranchis. So now this is what it says here. White seeks to control the affranchis as their population grew. Why they had to do that is because we were growing in power. The free Negroes, they had like some black people had plantation. The mulattoes definitely had plantation because the devil put them, higher than the Negroes. I'm gonna keep on reading. Along with their wealth and power, affranchis, which are the free Negroes and free mulattoes, primarily composed of free mulattoes, threaten the colony's power structure as they become influential landowners in the colony. Right. So now I'm gonna skip down and read this so people could understand when they looking at these documentaries that's telling them that the Haitian won this war with no military with no military training. It's bogus. These people, they just trying to impose this voodoo ideology on us, because they will spend a whole hour talking about voodoo as if voodoo has something to do with the revolution. This is what he says here. Despite these restrictions, affranchis, right, which are the free blacks and the free mulattoes, are still obligated to compulsory military duty between the ages of 15 and 45. So these free men, they had to, like they got I believe in Israel. I hear Cap always talk about that. Like when you go to Israel, you can't just go to Israel. Like you gotta serve in their army, right? So this is what the devil instituted back then. From the age of 15 to 45, you had to serve in the military. So that's why they were able to control such a large amount of population, because the whites were really a really small minority comparing to the amount of Negroes that was on the island. But when they instituted this caste system where they put mulattoes at a certain level in society, they put free blacks at a certain level of society, and then slaves were allowed to become free. You was not just gonna be a slave for the rest of your life. If you were a good slave, you gain your freedom at some point in life. But the free Negroes, they had to serve in the military. So this is why you can see men like Toussaint Louverture, who was one of the greatest generals that we had. However, Toussaint Louverture, I'm gonna get into that later. However, Toussaint Louverture, he was even though he was a great general, he did not how do I say that? He loved his master. Even though he was a great general for the Haitian, he still loved his master. A lot of things that he did not do it for the Haitian people. He did it because he was serving the oppressor, because he was a general under the French army. He was not a general for Haiti as an independent country, because Haiti was not independent yet until 1804. You follow me? All right, Mosai, go ahead. Khan. He was definitely. Matter of fact, I'm gonna read Salakia. I'm gonna read from this book real quick. I got a lot of books in front of me, Salakia. Uh, I'm gonna read. This is the dictionary. The dictionary is really in French. Dictionnaire de la Révolution Haïtienne. All right. This book, show it to the camera. This book is extremely rare. Matter of fact, I cannot find it anywhere. However, I got a copy, most high in Christ for that. I've been trying to look for it on the internet to see if I could find, an extra copy, but I cannot find it for nothing. Now, when you say that, I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna read this real quick, because one thing that they teach us is that because of voodoo, we got the British out of Haiti. We got the Spaniard, we got the French out of Haiti because of voodoo. Well, this what I'm about to read is known. Anybody who's gonna do a documentary on Haiti is gonna come across this information, and this is something you could put on Google right now. You could find it, but you got to know about it. And because I have the dictionary of the Haitian Revolution, which outlines. I mean, this book is so precious. It outlines. I won't say all, but most of the event that took place between the 1700 all the way to the 1800. It gives you all the treaties, all the accord, and I'm about to read one real quick, which is the Accord of August 31st, 1798. You could put that on Google, and you will find some information about it. So I'm gonna read it. It's in French. I'll read it and I'll translate. All right. So I'm reading from the Dictionnaire de la Révolution Haïtienne, which is the dictionary of the Haitian Revolution. Accord du 31 août 1798, which is Accord of August 31st, 1798. Le 30 août 1798, les négociateurs respectifs accrédités par le général Metlin et Toussaint Louverture, général en chef de l'armée de Saint-Domingue, signent l'accord consacrant la reddition du mort. What they're saying here is that the General Metlin, which was a general in the British Army, right, and Toussaint Louverture, they signed the accord for them to basically surrender the territory that they had they had control over, which was more, which was it's called Mole, Mole. That's the territory that the Britain was in control over. So on August 31st, 1798, you could type that on Google, and it's gonna give you something about it, some history about it. This is when they signed. These two generals, they signed this basically a treaty, so to speak. Now I'm gonna keep on reading further down. Le 31 août marque pour ainsi dire la dernière étape de l'évacuation anglaise de Saint-Domingue. What he's saying here is that August 31st, 1798 basically marked the end of the Slovakia, ainsi dire la dernière étape de l'évacuation anglaise, marked the end of the English evacuation, so to speak. So now there was three main un pacte de neutralité impliquant non agression et non intervention. All right, there was three main part of this accord, right? And I'm gonna read the first one. Un pacte de neutralité impliquant non agression et non intervention entre Saint-Domingue et Jamaïque. What he's saying here is that they agreed. This is what they agreed to, right? That there will be neutral and there will be no intervention from Saint-Domingue to Jamaica. Because as you know, why the people in Jamaica speak English is because Britain was, had control over that island. And France had control over Haiti, which they called at the time Saint-Domingue. So one of the things that they agreed upon is that they would not intervene within, the affairs that the Britain was doing over there in Jamaica. Because remember, these colonial powers were fighting over these islands, not just Haiti. Martinique, Jamaica, they were fighting over these islands. So now they had an accord. There's no voodoo here. They didn't do voodoo and kick them out. They had, political. It was all political, so to speak. The same way we see what's going on today in the news, with Russia and Venezuela. It's no voodoo involved. It's all power. It's all about weapon. It's all about taking control. And then when something happened, they were trying to have a treaty and have an agreement. But there was no voodoo involved here. I'm gonna keep on reading, right? Un engagement commercial qui ouvre les portes de Saint-Domingue aux navires de Sa Majesté britannique. So they agreed to a commercial engagement, right? They agreed to a commercial engagement. This is why the England left the island of Haiti. They didn't leave because the Haitian did voodoo on them and then they just ran out like they portrayed. I watched these documentaries on Slovakia, and a lot of times I'm wondering, man, these people like Slovakia. I'm not even gonna say that, but it's just as I study this information, it's just when I'm watching these documentaries, it's comical to me because what they do, like they give you some good information, but most of it is that they are suggesting. They're trying to suggest to our people, and you could pay attention to that. They're trying to suggest to us that Africa and voodoo is our culture and is how we got our independence, and this is what we got to go back to. They suggested to us, and it's really comical because that's what they make it seem like. We did this voodoo ceremony and then this English people, they ran out the island. These French people ran out the island. The Spaniards people just ran off the island. But here we could see, and this is a document that you can find, this is known, in the academic field, people know this, but they're not teaching that. They're not teaching you that the British and France made an agreement. And who did they use? Who was the general at the time was Toussaint Louverture, because he was the highest ranking man on the island, because he did so much for the French. They gave him power. And what that did also is pacify a lot of the blacks, because it's like, damn, you could rise to power. The same way America got it set up today. They got a few Negroes, in power. and most of the people they admire these celebrities or these high figure people because they feel like if you just work hard enough, you leave the American dream. Well, Toussaint Louverture was one of those Negroes that they placed, high, and he did a whole lot for his masters, basically. So, like I just read here, they had a commercial engagement to, I don't know if I finished that point, un engagement commercial qui ouvre les portes de Saint-Domingue au navire de Sa Majesté britannique, which opens up the port for for Britain, for the Majesté Salakia, Majesté Britannique, basically the Britain Majestic, if I'm saying that correctly. But it was a commercial engagement. So they say, you know what, we'll leave the island, but we're gonna sign this agreement. You could allow me to, come to the island, and they could import and export. You get what I'm saying? So it was all business. It had nothing to do with voodoo. I just had to touch that real quick. All right. Go ahead.
That's why they lost. So they don't even want to give them the brother credit for doing that.
Right. They not. And this is what, and they got that from this book right here that I happen to have, Most High in Christ. Is written by this Frenchman, this devil called Antoine Dalma. This is where they got this information from. That what this devil say in this book is that the Negroes, they made a sacrifice to the almighty genie of the black race. Matter of fact, let me get it. All right. What's the devil named? Pat Robinson, you said? Yeah, I saw that. But you know what that does also? What I see that it does is that it's kind of a reverse psychology where people will say, well, it wasn't the devil, it was just, our culture. We were just practicing our culture. You get what I'm saying? Instead of realizing that, this is just the devil's technique, man. Let me read this. This is from the book. Histoire de la Révolution de Saint-Domingue. Depuis le commencement des troubles jusqu'à la prise de Jérémie et du Mont Saint-Nicolas par les Anglais, suivi d'un mémoire sur le rétablissement de cette colonie. All right. What I just read is in French, which states history of the Saint-Domingue Revolution since the beginning of the chaos until the capturing of Jérémie and Mont Saint-Nicolas. What I was just reading about the Accord of, what was that? August 1798. That's the territory that England had, was Jérémie, and that Britain had Jérémie and Mont Saint-Nicolas. This is what I was just reading about in the dictionary. All right. So now this is page 118, 117 and 118. This is where the devil, the first person who ever spoke about a so-called voodoo ceremony, he published this book in 1814. Now, what you gotta realize is that this ceremony did not happen. This ceremony happened in 1791, supposedly 1791. So from 1791 to 1814, no authors, nobody wrote about a voodoo ceremony. But this devil, 23 years later, came with this book. and then stated that this is what happened on August 14, 1791. Okay, I'm gonna read it in French and then I'll translate. Ils célébrèrent une espèce de fête ou de sacrifice au milieu d'un terrain boisé et non cultivé de l'habitation choiselle appelée le caïman, où les nègres se réunirent en très grand nombre, un cochon entièrement noir entouré de fétiches, charge d'offrandes plus bizarres les unes que les autres, fut l'holocauste offert au génie tout-puissant de la race noire. I'm going to translate it. Les cérémonies religieuses que les nègres pratiquèrent en l'égorgeant l'avidité avec lesquelles ils burent de son sang le prix qu'ils mirent à posséder quelques-uns de ces poils, espèces de talismans qui, selon eux, devaient les rendre invulnérables, servent à caractériser l'Africain. Okay, what he basically said here is that we were celebrating, they celebrated some type of feast in the middle of uncultivated terrain, right? And the place was called Kaima. Okay, this is the place where the Negroes gathered in great numbers. An entirely black pig, right, which was circled with offering, was slaughtered, right? It was the ultimate, it was the ultimate sacrifice offered to the mighty genie of the black race. I don't know who that mighty genie is that requires a pig from us. Now, what he said is that we were eager. This is what this devil said, man. These slaves, they were eager to drink that pig, that black pig's blood. They were eager to drink the blood. Because why? They believe that in drinking the blood, they will be invulnerable or invincible, so to speak. This is what this devil said. And this is where everybody who's talking about the voodoo ceremony, this is where they get the information from. And then later on, people started to add to the story, right? So now I have to do this. I have to do this to show you what this devil think about black people, right? Matter of fact, I translated verbatim. So okay, this is what this devil, this is page 11 of that same book. All right, so page 11. Bear with me. All right, this is page 11 in that very same book. This is what he says, right? Il importe seulement de remarquer ici que cette espèce d'homme supérieur aux blancs sous les rapports physiques était bien au-dessous d'eux pour les qualités intellectuelles et morales. What this devil said about our people is that it is to be noted that these species of people, talking about us, our forefathers, talking about the Negroes, these species of people, they were superior. It is important to note that they were superior to the whites physically, but inferior when it came to the intellectual and moral qualities. So this is the book. This is the book that our people, that's doing these documentaries, this is the book that they use to teach our people about a voodoo ceremony. The same devil who said that our people are inferior to white people morally and intellectually, but we just strong. We just some strong monkeys, This is how he saw Negroes. So of course, this book is written biasly. This book is biased. So he's not gonna give the generals credit, which we're gonna get into, for doing this political assembly that they had when they got together and say, you know what, we're gonna fight against this oppression. He's not gonna give them credit because that's exactly what took place on August 14, 1791. It was a political assembly because the slaves were not allowed to gather in great numbers. It was the generals. it was the soldiers that had got together, and because prior to that there was insurrection here and there. There was always insurrection. We always revolted against slavery, but that's when they did a general insurrection. Okay, now go ahead.
We always grew up that they were doing human sacrifices and taking out a people's heart. And he was saying the instruments they had weren't even allowed you to penetrate someone to pull out a people's heart at the same time. But he told us that these devil killers are not accurate when we listen to their issues. We think this is what it is, but when we come to these concepts, the things don't add up. So it's parallel that they were lying about our Israelite brothers and their history, and put this serious, negative image on them, the same way they did on our so-called Haitian brothers.
Yeah, most definitely. And then that story don't make sense. You imagine a bunch of slaves gathering with a pig. You know how much noise it's like it. You know how much noise a pig makes. You know, it makes no sense, man. It makes no sense. And even Salaki, I gotta plug this laptop real quick. Bear with me 1 second.
And they turn some crazy
Come on, man. Most definitely. It makes absolutely no sense. No sense at all, man. All right, I'm gonna put this book away. Matter of fact, let me read. I'm what you say out? Say that one more time. Oh, 410. All right, Tawada. Yeah, Tawada for that. All right, so we're gonna run through this real quick, right? What page was this in? All right. This is page 162, right? I'm gonna show you something, right? Page 162 of that same book. Now, this is what the devil said, right? Les vrais ennemis de Saint-Domingue sont ces mêmes mulâtres, enfants dénaturés, fils ingrats et rebelles qui appuient leur première réclamation par la révolte, le désarmement des Blancs et l'assassinat de leur père. Okay, this is what the devil said here, which is totally true. What he said here is totally true, but what you gotta realize is how he feels about it. What he said is the true enemies of Saint-Domingue, which was the name of Haiti. So basically, the true enemies of Haiti are those mulattoes, children, denationalized children, ungrateful sons, and ungrateful and rebellious sons who took their first so like a première réclamation, who took their first steps towards revolting and disarming the whites and assassinating their fathers. So this is Salaka. This is what the devil is saying about the mulattoes, because he feels like these mulattoes, like, how dare you, you know? Because what you got to realize, right? I'm going to run through that history real quick. The mulattoes, even though they were at a certain level in society, they were still being treated like, like garbage. They were still being treated like second-class citizens. They were not being treated like white people. So when laws are being passed, like you see the devil, the oppressor, he passed a lot of laws when you look at the civil rights, but which happened since 19 in the 60s. It's 2020, and black people are still fighting for those rights today. Those civil rights, we are still fighting for those rights today in 2020. Well, during that time, even though these people, these mulattoes, they had some type of right, some type of authority, they were still being treated like Negroes, so to speak. And he's saying that they are the real enemies because they the one who started, who took their first step towards, claiming their rights and revolting and disarming their fathers and assassinating their fathers. So he felt like, these mulattoes, they should have just been happy to be second class citizens. They should have just been happy. That's how he feels. So this is just to show you the state of mind that this devil is in when he wrote this book, because he got good information in this book, but it is written in a bias. It's biased. This entire book is biased. It's written, you could tell, and he don't even hide it. You could tell this is a person that hates the fact that the slaves fought against their oppressors. So now, as somebody who is responsible or who care for your people, who's gonna do a documentary on Haiti, why would you use the information of such a person who makes it obvious that he hates the fact that the slaves revolt against their oppressors? Why would you use that? Why would you use his information? That shows you how irresponsible and non-caring that these people are. Now, let me read this real quick, right? Because what he said was totally truth. Now, what happened, Salakia, where's this document at? I have a whole bunch of documents in front of me, Salakia. Okay, in 1789, all right? Oh, Salakia. 1 second now. Right, so in 1789, France passed this declaration of the rights. Salakia. Oh, I took it. Declaration. Let me see. Haiti. And another document that I just came across just now, looking for this document, is the Constitution of 1805. Our people need to go and read that Constitution. They need to read that Constitution so they could see the mindset that our people was in. So now in 1789, this is when the war really kicks in Haiti. They will teach you that it was 1791. However, prior to 1791, there was always insurrection. But in 1789, it got really bad because France had the Declaration of the Rights of Man, which was in 1789. Oh, there we go. The Declaration, I was looking for this, is the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen. This was in 1789 because there was a French Revolution going on. This is crucial to understand. If you do not understand that history, you're not going to understand what happened in Haiti from that time all the way to 1803. Because these laws, this declaration, which is giving everybody, equal rights and equal opportunity, that was just paper. That was just words. The same way the devil do today. Just his word, like the Bible says, his words are smoother than butter. But these people were still being, I'm sorry? Right. So they had the Declaration of the Rights of Man, of Citizen. But, the devil is the devil, man. His words are smoother than butter. His words means nothing. So now you have these mulattoes who are taking arms. They are taking arms against their oppressors. We're going to read about one here, which his name was Vincent Auger. All right. So now let me read. This is prior, mind you, this is prior to 1791. I'm going to read. The Auger Rebellion, Jacques Vincent Auger, and Affranchi, he was a mulatto, representing the colony in France, led a revolt against the white colonial authorities in Saint-Domingue, which was the name of Haiti. Despite colonists' attempts to prevent him from leaving France, Auger managed to escape to England, where he is secretly held by abolitionists. From there, he sails to the United States, where he buys weaponry before arriving in Saint-Domingue on October 21st. Eluding police, Auger manages to unite with friends and family and organize a common front of gens de couleur. Gens de couleur means colored people, right? So he gathered together with some other affranchis, which were mulattoes and blacks, which were free men, which had the power because, like I read, I don't know if I read this earlier. If I did it, I'm gonna just read it real quick. This is from 1750. Free blacks and mulattoes began to amass wealth and power. Many acquired plantation, especially coffee plantation in the West and in the South. So these Negroes and these mulattoes, they had some type of power. You get what I'm saying? That's why they were able to buy weapons. That's why they were able to own plantation. You get what I'm saying? So he amasses 300 men consisting primarily of mulattoes and some free blacks, the group fully armed, with others with the intention of taking the city and disarming the white population. So when you go to the Devil book, right? The Salakia Antoine Dalma, when he said the true enemies of Haiti are those, ungrateful mulattoes, he's totally right. He was totally right, because this is what we are reading right now, right? Consisting primarily of mulattoes, the group fully armed with others with the intention of taking the city and disarming the white population. The colonists managed to disband Auger's army by outnumbering the rebels. Auger escaped and goes into hiding in the eastern part of the island in Spanish Santo Domingo, right? So now, this is prior to 1791. 1791 did not, come into effect yet. We're talking about 1789, 1790, because after that declaration of Declaration of the Rights of Men and of the Citizen, it became chaotic on the island. It became really chaotic. I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna go back to the book, The Making of Haiti, right? The Saint-Domingue Revolution by Caroline E. Fake. I'm gonna go back to that book and I'm gonna read. So like it. Which page am I reading from? If you want to say anything, you could go ahead. I'm looking for a page right now, real quick.
Okay. He was saying that about the mulatto class. From what I have learned, that they had different sections, mulatto, Guasmo, Osmo. They were doing this in New Orleans as well. Because New Orleans was the French, part of the French colony as well.
Right.
This kind of culture is similar to New Orleans. And that's something maybe we'll get into another day. Because I used to actually live in Louisiana and understanding the connection between Haiti and Louisiana, that after the Haitian Revolution, there were certain amount of slave masters that escaped from the island, and they brought their slaves with them, as well as the mulatto class that came to New Orleans. And a lot of the ways that there were times of history, you have sisters in the world saying that black men didn't do anything to slavery, but these brothers actually had the biggest revolt in America after the Haitian Revolution, which they said a lot of the Haitian brothers were leaders of this movement in New Orleans and Louisiana, and that was the biggest one before that time.
That's totally correct, man. And like you said, we're gonna get, Lord allow, we eventually gonna get into a lot about this Haitian Revolution, because what we're gonna show is that, all these people like, the Nat Turner, even Marcus Garvey, and all these people, they were influenced by the Haitian Revolution, and these people, they knew who they were. You know, I'm, you know, in due time, you know, Lord allow, we will go in depth about this Haitian Revolution to show that our people, you know, they knew who they were. They did not know, they did not have the truth, but they understood that they understood who the devil was. You know what I'm saying? And they knew they had to separate from their oppressors. You know, so we definitely gonna get in, you know, go in depth in that. But I'm gonna read this real quick from that book. This is page 86. News had arrived in the fall of 1799 of a slave uprising in Martinique. So now remember everything that I just read over in the oppressor's book about, you know, the mulattoes being the true enemies, and then in the record that I just read about Auger's rebellion, right? So now this is from a different book. Now, news had arrived in the fall of 1789 of a slave uprising in Martinique. At the end of that year, plantations everywhere in Saint Domingue were afflicted by a devastating drought. The hardest hit by the famine were the slaves, Salakia, where the slaves left largely to shift for themselves to find food. Marronage seemed to be increasing, becoming potentially more dangerous, and slaves far more audacious. This is 1789. Pay attention to these documentaries. They starting the revolution at 1791, which makes no sense if you go and you do the research. This is all of this is happening in 1789, and this word, a lot of our people may not be familiar with it, which is marronage. Marronage, what marronage is basically is slaves that were fleeing. They were fleeing the plantation, and they were forming basically like little armies. Like till this day, we got this term called Marwan in Haiti. Like if I, let's say if me and you we hanging out, right? And I'll be like, you know what? Once again, when Marwan, Marwan. Basically, I'm saying, you know, I'm gone. Marwan in that sense is saying I'm disappearing. So this shows you, like, till this day we got this term like to disappear. Marwanage means, you know, to disappear. Like these slaves, they will escape and they will form little armies and they will attack the plantations. So this is what this book is saying here. In 1789, Marwanage seems to be increasing, becoming potentially more dangerous. So these insurrections were happening prior to 1791. Okay, I'm gonna read further down. One plantation manager wrote, one plantation manager wrote, the owner that his slaves were beginning to let things go to their heads. Salagia, the sight of the cockade is giving them ideas, and even more, the news from France, which is flaunted indiscreetly, another observer wrote. Many slaves imagine that the king has granted their freedom and that it is their master who does not want to consent to it. This has everything to do with the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of Citizen in 1789. This is crucial to understand the Haitian Revolution, because things did not just pop up in 1791. It was even happening prior to 1789. But in 1789, after you make a declaration of rights granting everybody so-called equal rights, now you granting people equal rights. Meanwhile, you have slaves. You understand what I'm saying? It's the same way over here in America. You know, all men are created equal. You know, 1776. Meanwhile, they had slaves. While they were saying all men were created equal, the mulattoes were not having it, and the free blacks were not having it either, because they had some type of power. They had the military training. They were in the military. You get what I'm saying? They had the training. They had the weapon. Salaki, can you mute? Can you mute the phone real quick? I'm getting a lot of feedback. You hear me out? Tawada. Yeah, Tawada. So they had the weapon, they had the military training, they had the power to resist, because they outnumbered the whites anyways, especially if they were gonna use the slaves, which they did. You understand what I'm saying? Let me see if that's it on that. What was I reading? Okay, let me keep on reading. All right, I'm gonna keep on reading this last point in that book. One must lend a deaf ear and pretend not to hear what they are saying to avoid a general uprising, because that was in the air. The general uprising was in the air because after that declaration of the rights of men and of the citizen, it just became, it became out of control. It became out of control on the island. They saw the whites like one must lend a deaf ear and pretend not to hear what they are saying to avoid a general uprising. They saw the whites lynch and torture mulattoes, free blacks, and white sympathizers alike for daring to advocate the civil rights of free persons of color. All of this is happening in 1789. So why are they skipping over this history to tell us about 1791 and make it seem like 1791 is the is the reason why we won our independence? And then not only does it not make sense, because check this out, right, Officer Picard. The so-called voodoo ceremony happened in August 14, 1791. Now, Haiti was not declared independent until 1804. That's a 13-year gap. That's a 13-year gap. So how something that happened in 1791 gave us our independence 13 years later? You know what I'm saying? Are they saying that because what I hear from these documentaries is that the spirit of Ogun, the slave, they conjure the spirit of Ogun, the warrior spirit of Ogun. Did the spirit of Ogun just was around for 13 years, just massacring the whites? Is that what was happening? That story makes absolutely no sense. It makes no sense at all, especially when in 1793, right? I'm gonna read this real quick, and then I'm gonna go back to that book because I gotta run out of here. Yeah, I'm gonna go back in the dictionary of the Haitian Revolution, right? Dictionary of the Haitian Revolution, page 319. Remember, I told you about the treaty that France, Spain, and England made, right? They made a treaty of peace before. So now let's see what happened. The treaty, matter of fact, the treaty between Spain and France in 1777. So now this is the year 1793, right? Because when in the ISUPK we say the oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of, the oppressor is the damn devil the Bible speaks of. Because they made a peace treaty in 1777. So now let's read what happened in 1793. This is, and you could look this up, Officer Picard. This is the proclamation of August 29, 1793. What happened in 1793? I'm going to read it in French, and then I'm going to translate. Suite, okay, this is in 1790, August 29, 1793. Suite à l'exécution de Louis XVI en janvier 1793, la guerre éclate en février et mars 1793 entre la France et ses voisines. What it says here is that following the death, right? Following the death of Louis XVI in January 1793, war exploded in February and March 1793 between the French and its neighbors, Spain and England. So they went back at it in 1793 after they had many treaties over and over, because that's what the devil do. The devil does not honor his words. The same way right now we are seeing that we are seeing in the news, you know, with Russia and America and all these colonial powers, you know, they having treaties, trying to have some type of agreement, but eventually, like it's prophesied in the Bible, World War III is going to happen. You understand what I'm saying? World War III is going to happen. They're gonna like the scripture says, I believe in Matthew, where he talks about peace. You know, they're gonna try to make it seem like it's gonna be all peaceful, but war is in the air, and we could see it. And as priests and prophets of the Most High in the ISUPK, we've been prophesied about this since 1969, because it's going to happen. Well, the same way in 1793, even after they had so many treaties, peace treaties, war exploded again between France, Spain, and England. And this is something you could look up in 1793. So now, why is that important? This is important because the 1805 Constitution that we have from Dessalines is not the first constitution of that island. There was one prior to 1805. The 1805 is the first one as Haiti as an independent state. This is the first one when Haiti was independent. But in 1801, Toussaint Louverture had abolished slavery. So we had a constitution in 1801. Now in 1793, Santonax, right, which was an authority from France, he had abolished slavery in 1793. This is crucial to understand, because we saw that war exploded between England, Spain, and France in 1793. So what did they do? Let's free the slave. So they so-called free us in 1793, and this is something that you could look up. You could look that up. Santonax freed a slave in 1793. Why? Because France was at war. And how are you going to fight these colonial powers while you are fighting with your slaves? You understand what I'm saying? Because the slaves were rebelling in great numbers since 1789. You understand what I'm saying now? Right. So this give you, go ahead.
Just to give you another context, I know you said you had to go to play, so
right.
I want to know.
Yeah, it's still odd because my other one is not here yet. I'm waiting for him to come.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still odd. All right. So we could see how when you look into the history, it makes no sense. This whole voodoo thing, it makes absolutely no sense, because there's so much things that happened after 1791. Because if voodoo gave us freedom, that means the oppressor gave us our freedom in 1793. Was it the voodoo that caused him to give us that, to free the slave in 1793? It makes this voodoo ceremony thing, it's one of the most ridiculous thing that they could inject in our history. Because what you're gonna see when you do research on the Haitian Revolution, you're gonna get good information. But what they do is that they insert this voodoo thing and they magnify it. So they magnify it so much that people cannot see all of these things that occurred prior to 1791 and even after 1791, because they are so blurred by these people magnifying the so-called voodoo ceremony. So I'm gonna read from this book. I'll probably end with this note. This is from page 93 of that same book, The Making of Haiti. Right? This is page 93, Salakia. All right, page 93. This is what it says. The story of this ceremony has long since passed into legend, rendering all the more difficult the separation of actual fact from the elaborated mythology that later developed around the event. You hear what this oppressor is saying? Now listen to this. Contemporary evidence is sparse. Contemporary meaning evidence existing during that time. So there's no evidence of this thing, of this voodoo ceremony that exists during that time, during 1791 or around those years, 1791, 92, 93, even in the early 1800s. So she's saying contemporary evidence is sparse. In fact, there is no mention of it at all in the archival documents that recount the conspiracy. So in the archival documents, there are documents that recount this conspiracy, because it was a conspiracy to do what? To overthrow the oppressors. But in these accounts, there's nothing that state anything about a voodoo ceremony. Now I'm gonna keep on reading. And are based largely on the testimony of a few slaves. These testimonies, those are secondhand. It's an oppressor saying that this is what a slave said. You get what I'm saying? It's a lot. I'm laughing because it's just I was just watching a documentary recently, a few days ago, and I was just it was just sad, man, watching the documentary. I'm gonna read page 241 from that same book. If in regard to the August 1791 conspiracy, the social identity of the leadership has been fairly well established. So now what she's saying here, in August 1791, right? The social identity of the leadership, that means it was the leaders that had gathered together, has been fairly well established. The vast majority of the 200 slaves delegates to the Morning Rouge Assembly, those were delegates, slave delegates. You understand what I'm saying? These were our people that had some type of power over the slave. They had gathered together to do a general insurrection, because there was insurrection taking place prior to that. Ever since we came on this island, on the ship, we've been fighting. There was never a time that we were not fighting, but it was never, how just to say that, it was never a threat to the oppressor to the level where they think there will be a general insurrection. You get what I'm saying? It's just like today. Like today, a lot of people, we're not revolting physically, but a lot of people, we're not participating in the oppressor's society, in the oppressor's world, so to speak. But it's not a significant. Salakia, I'm gonna take this call real quick, okay? There's other one calling me. Shalom, say what you got up. Khan, sir. I'm here, so I'm waiting for you. Khan, so I'm gonna wrap it up, sir, because I'm still doing the class. So I'm gonna wrap it up. Khan, sir. Shalom, Lord Christ. Shalom, Lord Christ. You there? Yeah, Salakia for that. Other one is here. All right. So those were delegates that had gathered together that day. And then what's crucial to understand is that location, the Morning Rouge, Jean-Jacques Dessalines made it the headquarters, because that was the location where the generals, the delegates, were gathered. So he made it headquarters. That was at a location where they went and did voodoo ceremony. And then what's crucial to point out is that if voodoo in fact was what was instrumental for giving us our independence, in the Constitution, they would have made voodoo the official religion of the land. These men were Christians. They were Christians. They were a different types of Christians, though. They were not the Christians of today. They were not the Christians of today. They were a different type of Christian. But they didn't make voodoo the religion of the land. And there's nowhere in in the archival records. That's important to point out. Commanders, Salakia. I'm gonna keep on reading and finish that point. The vast majority.
Just before, like, if you have a minute or something before you go on, I want you to know if any brothers on the line on the conference had any questions, so if you give a space for that, they can ask you a question for anyone has a question. So just give you that heads up.
Con. I'll take a question or two. Con. So I'm gonna finish this point, right? The vast majority of the 200 slave delegates to the Morton Rouge Assembly we know were commanders. The social and cultural components of the religious ceremony held in Wakaima after the Morton Rouge meeting are somewhat less clear. You know, the oppressor, she's still trying to make it like, seems like, well, you know, it's less clear that this actually happened because, you know, we don't have, you know, records of it. It's evident, man. It makes total sense that this thing never happened because we have no record. So don't say it's less clear. Just say that it did not occur. So I'm gonna finish this last sentence, right? So this is what she said. So unless additional complementary sources are uncovered, any analytical explanation of this event will remain, unfortunately, speculative. I'm gonna read that again. Unless additional complementary sources are uncovered, any analytical explanation of this event will remain, unfortunately, speculative. This is known. This is not a secret. It's not a secret that this event, there's nothing to back up this event. So how in the hell did this event became the central theme of the Haitian Revolution? How did that happen? It happened because the oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. That's why it happened. And our people who take this story and run with it, they are irresponsible because there's no way you're gonna do you're gonna do a study on the Haitian Revolution and not come across this information. You're gonna come across a lot of information. Matter of fact, I have not scratched the surface yet about magnitude of this Haitian Revolution because there's so much to talk about. And one point that I want to make is that when Dessalines, after they won the war in November 1803, because that's when the war ended, and in January 1st, 1804, that's when he gave out the Declaration of Independence. And one thing to point out is that he called the army the indigenous army, or the army also known as the army of the Incas. He did not call the army of the Africans, because if our people believed that they were Africans, they would have claimed it. He named the island after the native tongue, which is Haiti, after the native Indians, which is Haiti, right? Salakia, I'm gonna do this real quick. So it's important to understand that, because they trying to shovel down our throat this whole African thing and this whole voodoo thing, as if it is what caused the Haitian to gain their independence. Now, when you look at this word IET, right? When you look at it when you look at the meaning of this word, it is known that Haiti means land of high mountains, right? But when you look at it and you read it backwards, which is Aitaya, right? Aitaya, which means God is with me. This is what it means. Aitaya, God is with me. This was the name that the native Indians had gave that island. And when Dessalines, when we won our independence, he gave it back that name, and he called the army the Indigenous Army, or the Army of the Incas, which had nothing to do with the Africans. Nowhere in the documents can we find anything about, Africa. It's always the oppressors that are calling us African or trying to impose this African, ideology on us. But go ahead.
So yeah, that was it. Like I said, if you were closing out on that point, you have anything else?
Let me see. Yeah, I mean, it's so much more that I have. I just gotta stop. If I don't stop, I'm gonna keep on going because it's a lot. It's a lot to talk about.
No sweat. We can do a part two as well another day. But yeah, like I said, if any brothers had any questions they wanted to bring out really quickly, but I don't want one brother to ask. But there was that you said 80 backwards. How do you spell that?
Okay, it's IET. You spell IET AYITI. That's how you spell IET in Creole. AYITI. Go ahead,
So my question is, what's the name of the indigenous language that the Haitians speaking, and what the indigenous tribe that they call themselves before?
Okay, that's the information I'm not gonna get into yet because I want to be 100%. But what I will tell you is that he called the people the Incas. That's what he called the army of the Incas. So we know we could do some research about the Inca empire, which you will find that rule over South America, that region over South America. You can see. So, but the people were definitely the Arawak Indians, and then even in Arawak. The Arawak Indians, but
the name that you mentioned first?
That's ARA. Oh, the Inca, that's INCA. N as an NC, INCA. That's what he called the army. So when you look at the army, because we had an army, so what they make it seems like we were fighting with machetes and sticks and rods, but we actually had an army. And he called the army the indigenous army, or the army of the Incas.
Which means what again?
No, it's called Inca. That's the name. That was the name, Inca.
Oh, yeah, I thought it meant something like God's people.
No, IET. IET means God is with me. IET.
Oh, God is with me.
Right. God is with me. Right. But like I said, it's a lot of information that we're gonna bring out eventually, Lord allow, because when it comes to the Haitian history, the Haitian Revolution, there is a lot of information. They hide it, but the information is there. And it's a lot of materials that we got to go over because, as you know, in the UPK, if we're not 100% about something, even if we're 99%, we're not gonna teach it. That's why there's certain things I won't get into, but Lord allow, we will teach about them.
Most definitely, I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Con. Anything else?
No, that's the rocket, It's the rocket. So it's just safe to say that the myth about voodoo, I mean, what they say about black people voodoo is not true, and they not be using that terminology to make it look bad.
Yeah, it's definitely, as far as the voodoo, right? The voodoo, when you look at voodoo, what we gotta realize, right? With the voodoo, everything we do is voodoo. Voodoo is nothing but ancient Babylonian customs, which we practice every single day. Last week, everybody was practicing voodoo. Everybody was celebrating Christmas. Everybody was worshiping Nimrod. Today, everybody's worshiping Janus. You know, everybody's worshiping the mother of Jesus in the Catholic Church. So we do that every single day. We practice voodoo. But as far as the open, you know, dark side that they place on the Haitian, are Haitian practicing voodoo in Haiti? Yes, they are. Because like I said, it's an ancient Babylonian custom. It's a custom that we adapted from the Africans. But is it a Haitian custom? It's not a Haitian custom. Yes, Haitian are practicing voodoo in Haiti. Yes, Haitian are Christians today. You know, they worshiping white Jesus. But it has nothing to do with who we are. It has nothing to do with our custom. And most importantly, it has nothing to do with the Haitian Revolution, because they imposed that to make it seem like this is what we did. This is what we practice. That's what give us our freedom. So if you're not diligent enough and you're not in the truth, and if you have some type of, you know, some type of rebellion in you, you know, to fight against your oppressor, not physically, of course, you're gonna go into voodoo. You're gonna go into whatever you were taught that got you free in the first place. But once you know the truth, you're gonna understand that this is the reason why we are destroyed in the first place, because we were following after these other gods, which is what voodoo is essentially is, which is just the worship of these other gods, which our people do unknowingly anyway, every day. We're doing it right now today. Yeah. Yeah, I'll take one more question and then I'm gonna run up out of here.
I send you a message on Messenger. That's pretty much it. Like you said, the other one gotta go. The brother can, set their phone off you real quickly, and we go ahead and give it a clap up for the other one, man.
Yeah, to what?
Giving us this history on today with this independence debate and some brothers that had definitely a fighting spirit, and we need to have this day of willing to go out and stand up for our people and listen to God. So once again, we're going to say thank you all for got this on, and Lord allow we'll be able to have it.
Come, Most High in Christ, man, and thank you to the Adonwanyam, you know, who raised us up, man. Because if it wasn't for the UPK, I would have never digged into this voodoo thing and to realize that it was bogus. You know, it was because of the UPK that I began to question it. You know, I began to ask myself, man, did voodoo really have something to do with the Haitian Revolution? You know, and I began to study it, and then I came across this information, and we just had to bring it out to show our people, because a lot of our people they believe in this. A lot of our people, if you go on Facebook right now to these Haitian groups, you're gonna see everybody who just celebrated Christmas last week. You know, they so proud of being Haitian today. You know, and one point I gotta live, you know, for all my Haitians who's watching this. If you were celebrating Christmas last week, because today we're supposed to drink soup jumeau. It's our tradition. On January 1st, we drank this pumpkin soup, which is soup jumeau. If you were celebrating Christmas last week, you should not be drinking no soup jumeau today, because it makes no sense to celebrate the Haitian Independence Day when you are celebrating your oppressors' holidays. You are trying to serve two masters, and we got to come out of that, because it makes no sense. We don't even realize how insane it is to do this. We don't realize how insane it is. One week we're celebrating our oppressors' holidays, and then the next week we're gonna celebrate our forefathers who fought against these oppressors. It makes no sense. So us Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we have to get back together. We have to come back, like the scriptures say, gather ourselves together, and we gotta reject these vain philosophies, these vain ideologies, and we got to be mindful of these people who are making these, you know, these documentaries and all these information they're trying to feed us. Because if you're not in the ISUPK, if you're not learning from the ISUPK, you're not learning the truth, and you're gonna be deceived. And with that, I'm gonna leave y'all at one young. I'm gonna leave y'all say y'all about to Shabrak. Mon sang Christ. Ok, Haïti, m'a quitté nous, m'a fait mes classes là. Ok, m'a dit nous shalom. Et ça me dit là tout à l'heure, c'est que nous-mêmes Haïtiens, en pile dans nous, jeudi, c'est 1er janvier. Et n'a célébré l'indépendance Haïti qui c'est tout à fait normal parce que nous sommes haïtiens, nous fiers que nous sommes haïtiens, nous fiers que les ancêtres nous étaient gourmets contre l'esclavage, ça sont bagages pour nous fiers de lui. Moi-même moi fier de lui, sont bagages pour nous définitivement fiers de lui. Moi j'ai subjour mon là que m'a boire. Vous ça me dit non? So sont bagages que nous fiers de lui mais faut nous pas hypocrite. Si nous sommes fiers de ce que les ancêtres nous étaient gourmet contre colon blanc yo pour qui ça pour nous célébrer jour fête colon blanc yo pour qui ça pour nous pratiquer culture colon blanc yo li est pour nous mêmes haïtiens pour nous sortir dans culture moun ça yo quand Bible dit dans Révélation 18 verset 4 il dit sortir dans Babylone vous comprenez suspendre pratiquer culture moun ça yo suspendre célébrer fête Noël suspendre célébrer fête Saint-Valentin suspendre célébrer fête maman, fête anniversaire, fête Halloween, avec toute vieille philosophie ça qui part dans la Bible, parce que la Bible dans nos cultures, nous sommes un peuple spécial. Nous pas voodooisants, nous pas africains, nous c'est israélites. Voodoo pas rien pour nous ensemble avec révolution haïtienne. OK? C'est vraiment important pour nous comprendre ça. Avec ça, peuple haïtien m'a dit nous shalom. Ya haoba Hashem ya shabrak. Ya Hashem atan ba Hashem ya shak. M'a quitté nous. Shalom.